Yo, Spider-Man collector boxes are slipping off the wall, dropping hundreds of dollars from their pre-order highs. These things went from a hype-fueled $1,099 peak to around $690 to $700 on the secondary market. That's a $300 to $400 pumpkin bomb to the price. I really wanted to find out exactly why the premium collapsed and what it means for sealed EV. Everyone's saying never pre-order again, but I disagree, and by the end of this video, I'll explain why. I'll do that by showing you the three forces that I think caused the crash, where I think the floor of this product really is, and my exact buy plan for Spider-Man cards. Hey, I'm Joel. I've been playing Magic for over 20 years, and Magic cards and Magic card prices are my full-time job now, so subscribe if that sounds like info you want, and I'll keep you ahead. If you bought a Spider-Man collector box at its peak, hoping that these were just going to do what Final Fantasy boxes did or what Lord of the Rings boxes did, let's hope that you have a bank account that looks a little more Norman Osborn than Peter Parker, if you know what I'm saying. If you watched my video and waited on collector box prices not matching the expected contents, then congratulations, you didn't get tangled up in the web of hype. But here's the thing, this wasn't some random collapse. There were warning signs from the start. Joel R Magic is brought to you by Card Conduit, the easiest way to sell your Magic the Gathering cards. If you've got a stack of singles collecting dust, head to Card Conduit to use their price check and collection estimator tools to see exactly what you could be getting for your cards. Then you can register a shipment and choose from 3 flexible service types to give you the best balance of effort and value. Whether you just want to pack and ship or you want to do a little bit of prep to save on fees, they've got you covered. Once they process your shipment, you'll get a full report and fast payment via direct deposit, PayPal, Zelle, or check. It's painless, quick, and the easiest experience you've ever had selling your Magic cards, I promise. Join the tons of happy customers that have sold their cards quickly and easily to Card Conduit, and make sure to use that code JOEL when you check out and save 10% on your fees. So why did people buy into this so heavily anyway? If the set was weird and there wasn't a serialized card to chase and there weren't commander decks and the set was smaller, what's with the prices doing this anyway? I'll tell you, it's FOMO. The hype train was loaded with Pokemon flippers, scalpers, and collectors who thought Spider-Man was gonna be the next Final Fantasy. And look, that's a really catch-all term I'm using right now. Pokemon flippers, Pokemon scalpers. That's just sort of representative of the community shift that happened with Final Fantasy. A lot more of the scalping community came into Magic the Gathering around Final Fantasy. And so when I say Pokemon flippers, Pokemon scalpers, I don't care about Pokemon players or collectors or anything. I'm not trying to use that as a derogatory term against people who collect or play Pokemon, just as a catch-all term of what has happened to Magic the Gathering since Final Fantasy the set hit. Spider-Man's Universes Beyond looked like the perfect recipe. Marvel IP, flashy treatments, promise of Soul Stone variants, but here's the twist. Commander players who actually drive long-term demand weren't interested in the same way that they were for Final Fantasy. There's not a Ragavan or a Ristic study here. It's like going to see a Spider-Man movie that promises Venom but just delivers 2 hours of that guy from that 70s show. So let's talk about the chase cards, because this is where everything unravels. The big lottery hits are the Soul Stone variants. You've got the costume change and the gauntlet versions that appear in under 1% of collector boosters. The textless Cosmic Foil Soulstone exists in extremely low quantities, so low that it probably might as well be serialized, except it isn't. That's the kicker. None of these are serialized, and without that serialized number to anchor the ceiling, I feel like sealed product doesn't have the same stuff to lean on that it did for Final Fantasy, or even a bad one like Assassin's Creed. There were serialized cards in that. And for Spider-Man, a box that launched at $1,000, skipping serialization on this one feels like releasing No Way Home without actually putting all 3 Spider-Men in it. It's just like you missed a major part that we thought was going to be in this. Meanwhile, supply is pretty solid. TCG Player has over 300 boxes listed right now as I'm writing this, hundreds of boxes, and sales are moving at about 18 per day. That's not a spider feeding frenzy, that's a clog in the web shooters. And here's a simple rule. When daily sales slow while active listings climb, the price doesn't hold, it falls. This is what people mean when they talk about that collector booster bubble pop. The demand just can't keep up with the number of people trying trying to cash out. People have invested in these collector boxes, and suddenly they see the price start falling and falling and falling. They panic and they list them and they get out immediately. That's what causes the pop, is a ton of people panicking all at once. Now, as this product has fallen in price, it bounced off that floor of 650 pretty hard during its crash. So I think that it's unlikely that these boxes fall too much further than that. The market, at least for right now, seems to think that $650 is a decent price to pay for these. And this is where the rubber really meets the road, the expected value of these boxes. If you strip out the lottery hits, the singles in the boxes aren't really coming close to covering the price. Unless you hit a Soul Stone or a premium Spider-Man suit, you're staring at a $700 box that breaks down to maybe half that in sellable cards. It's like expecting Spider-Man and getting Man-Spider or Spider's Man. It's a twist that no one wanted, really. So let's just call it what it is, a lottery ticket dressed up as premium product. And honestly, from what I'm seeing, Magic players are tired of paying casino prices for cardboard. I don't see how the Universes Beyond model can continue on like this unless they can keep play product down and just decide that they don't care that the vast majority of people won't ever get their collector product, or will just buy like a pack or two. And that's why Reddit and the MTG Finance forums are full of people swearing off pre-orders forever. The tone is basically Spider-Man was a cash grab and I'm never gonna get burned again. And look, I get it. Losing $300 on a box in the last couple weeks, that stings. Spider sting. But here's my contrarian take. I don't think pre-ordering is dead. I think the pendulum is still swinging. Right now, the lesson feels like never pre-order, but give it a few sets and we'll be back to, oh no, I missed the pre-order window and the collector box prices have doubled. Look at Tarkir. Look at Final Fantasy. A year or two ago, I would have told you never pre-order sealed MTG product because it's always going to be available lower than pre-order prices. But while still seeming to be the truth for singles, I don't feel like that's the case anymore for collector product in particular. Now, for the heavily printed play booster stuff and for the commander decks, if there were any, I would say don't pre-order those and don't get caught up in price hype around those particular products. But anything collector that's only going to have the one run, I think the move is still try to secure a pre-order as early as you possibly can, as close to MSRP as you possibly can. My current rule 0 for this is that I pre-order one collector box at MSRP automatically, regardless of set, if I can. I know I'm going to want one per set, and at least the way I see it right now, there's going to still be a frenzy. MSRP collector product is still right now just a good deal across the board, and I'll let you know when it isn't. Make sure you're subscribed. Now, if you're like me and you can't really find any collector product stuff at MSRP, these are my 3 rules for how to determine where I think the value of a set falls. Number 1, the set has wide commander utility previewed early. Lots of cards across archetypes that people actually want. And this is really going to fall along with precons, because very often they'll have the commander precon, but they'll also have cards seeded into the main set that you want for that precon, and they'll also have stuff seeded into the secret layers that you want for that precon, and that will be the case for all of the precons that they have. And so you can see why the absence of that for a product like Spider-Man is completely showing commander players that you don't need to really have a ton of interest in this. Grab the few singles that fall into the decks that you already have, and then you can move on. And I think that that is why this feels so much different from Final Fantasy, is that in and of itself is the precons, and the structure around precons don't exist. Rule number 2, I feel like a serialized or a numbered chase card that is anchoring the sealed value is going to be necessary going forward, especially for these Universes Beyond stuff. However, with the stones, the Infinity Stones, it's weird, I think, if one is not serialized, but some of the others are, or all the others are, but that doesn't mean that they can't do it. Just kind of a strange dichotomy. Number 3, the set has a competitive tie-in or a cultural element that sustains demand beyond week 2. Lord of the Rings hit all 3 of these. Final Fantasy hit all 3 of these. Spider-Man, it's only really hitting one. The Marvel logo. The Spider-Man character, and that's not enough. And the weaknesses of this set feel even sharper when you start comparing it to bangers like Lord of the Rings or Final Fantasy. LOTR had the serialized One Ring, a once-in-a-lifetime chase story that went viral. Final Fantasy still has commander players building, brewing, updating precons, or building new decks from the set where there was a deep amount of like synergistic pieces to include. Warhammer 40K dropped a ton of commander cards that turned out to be pretty eternal. And this Spider-Man set, it's Spider-Man. It's a cool IP. I love it. There's some fun art. There's just not enough gameplay pulled. The serialization isn't there, and the Eternal staples reprinted on the bonus sheet are pretty sweet, but in the pantheon of universes beyond, they kind of look like a bit of a shoulder shrug. And that leads to the psychology piece that I think is the deepest thread that no one's really acknowledging here. When a universes beyond set tied to a massive IP underperforms, it doesn't just feel like a bad pre-order, it feels like a betrayal. You've got people that were looking forward to Spider-Man, that were excited about it, and the set is kind of a meh, and so they're like, well, that sucks. But you've also got Universes Beyond haters on the other side of the aisle that are pointing to this and looking at it as an example of why Universes Beyond fails, when really it's just a failure of set cadence for WotC. And this might be copium, but I'm just hoping that this being the last in the aftermath sets that they thought were going to be the next big thing and turned out to be not what the community wanted at all. I'm hoping that this is the last one of those where any allowance had to be made at all, and we can just move on from that as a set structure altogether. But like I said, that's copium, and I'm going to talk more about that at length in my video where I'm like, basically, I was wrong about the Spider-Man set. Look out for that one soon. People were conditioned by LOTR and Final Fantasy to think that these sets were free money, or that at the very least they were going to be worth the premium that they were paying. So when Spider-Man fell, it felt like the floor just collapsed out from under everybody. The actual drop was $300, but the emotional drop is bigger because the expectations are sky high, and that's why I think, combined with the Universes Beyond hate, the backlash here is just louder than usual. So where do I land? 4 sealed. I'm only buying boxes or packs approaching MSRP, around $430 to $460 for a box, or like $35 for a pack. Even at this crash price of $700, you're still paying casino prices for sub 1% odds, and I'm not doing that. For singles, I'm going to wait until the market flattens out and then pick up the real Commander role players and whatever Spider-Man art treatments I want for my collection. My biggest advice, though, is don't get caught in this web of pre-order panic hype. Subscribe and I'll keep you ahead before the next big crash. Look out for my video of singles I'm targeting from this set, or my video where I admit how wrong I was about Spider-Man before previews even started.